Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, just a second. I do need to take this. Hello, God. Are you there? You're cutting out. Oh, it's not you, it's me. Just a second. Let me get a little closer. Let me get a little closer to your location. Now listen, I do want to give you my full attention, but hey, down here it's Sunday. And on Sunday, I go to church. And I'm at church right now. Oh, you know that? You see that? I'm at church, and in fact, it's my turn to speak. Oh, you know that too. Okay. That's why you called? You called because you have something to say? Oh, okay. You called because, what was that? You have something to say, and you're going to tell me, okay, and then I'm going to tell them. Is that right? Oh, okay. Okay. You're kidding. Oh, you don't kid. Oh, excuse me. Okay. I'll tell them. Will you be home later? I could call. Oh, you're always home. Okay. All right, I'll check you later. Okay. Bye. Okay, I just want to say that, to my knowledge, has never happened before here at Turning Point, and here's what he called about. He said, Sandy, tell them that some of them could possibly, even after what Deanne said, because it's all true, some of them could be carrying a big load of stuff today. So he said, I call because I want you to tell them to consider this. He said, one day I was watching my aunt walk across the yard. But he had a big stick on his back, which was too big of a burden for my little aunt. But he was carrying it. And then, now this is what God just said on the phone. And then he said, my aunt came to a big crack in the ground, and it was too big for him to cross over. So he said, my little aunt, just stood there, as if he was thinking about what he was going to do, pondering. And then he said, my little aunt took that stick and laid it across the crack and walked over to the other side. And he said, the burden became the bridge. Amen. Say, the burden became the bridge. So today, what I did, Could I get the Zimmermans to help me give everybody a stick? Pass them out quick. So what I did, I want everybody to have a stick, and it's going to represent a burden. And what you're going to do is you're going to hear different things for the remainder of the time that we're here. And if it speaks to your faith, and there's something that you're carrying, I want you to lift your burden to the Lord. And I want you to lay it down. So you get your stick ready. You get your burden that you're going to lay down, because you're crossing over to the other side. I mean, I talked about it last week. I talked about Joshua, and it was just flat time to go to the other side. So we're still in that season of time. So we're going to take our stick that has been a burden, and we're going to lay it down. So when something is said, and I guarantee stuff is going to be said, then I want to see the stick go up. Now, don't hurt somebody, and lay it down. So get your stick ready. So, when we look at the Hebrew calendar each month, it's because God has built something into His timing. And here's what He's built into His timing. He's built into it opportunities to develop a mindset of only increase and victory. Amen. Now, we're not Jewish, but we use this as a tool. Just like Stephanie and Lisa were talking about it, we use it as a tool to release our faith for all that's good in life. So let me do a quick review. We've been talking about it since the first of this year, 2020 in the Hebrew language is made up of letters, and then the letters have numeric value and meaning. So 20 is the letter Kaf. We talked about this several weeks ago. Kaf is made up of two letters. I'm just talking about in the Hebrew, but one letter of the 20 means potential, and the other letter means actual. Potential, what is that? Potential is something that is possible. I love this. I just found this out this morning. It comes from a Latin word which means power. So potential is someone who has the power to become something. So check it out. John chapter 1. But as many as received Him, to them gave He the power to become the sons of God. Kaf carries with it the thought of movement, that you're moving from potential. You're moving from the power to become to the actual, to the manifestation. So 2020 says we're a movement that is moving from the potential, the power to become to the actual manifestation. So it's like my transformer. Say power to become. Power to become. I may look like a truck, but I'm not. I have the power to become on the inside of me. Shout 20. 20, the power to become. I may look like a truck, but I'm not. The power to become, just like this transformer, is on the inside. So each Sunday, we've talked about the meaning of the number of the day. So we met in here on January the 5th, and we found out that 5 means grace. It means kindness. It means favor. Then we came back here on the 12th, and we found out that it means the authority to move into your destined place. Somebody needs to lay that right down right there. Then we got to January 19, and it means unshakable or unsinkable faith. You may think that you're on a boat that's going down, but I'm laying that down over that chasm, and I'm saying I've got unsinkable faith. Then we got to the January 26th, and we found out that that means leadership potential. We used Joshua as the example, and listen, God came to Joshua and said, Moses is dead. What we've got to realize is we're in a new era now. Deanne just described it. The old is over. It is time to move on. God told Joshua, therefore, arise and take this people out that's been in the wilderness for 40 years and have them cross over Jordan and enter the promised land that I have given them and the generations before them. I'm going over. He goes on to say, no man. And Deanne would say, no devil is going to withstand you. And God says, oh, by the way, be bold, be courageous. He says it again, be bold, be courageous, meditate on the word, speak the word out of your mouth and make your way prosperous. Hey! That brings us to 2020. I wonder if she's going to tell us what 2 means. Yeah, well, I am. Shout yes, 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 yes. 2 means keep the faith. Hey, so we got 2. So here's what I'm going to do. I can't speak Hebrew. I can hardly speak English, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to break this down into English and then Hebrew. Now, in the English, keep the faith means to just keep on going. Keep on going, persevere, press ahead. Now, in Hebrew, here's what it means. Keep means to watch, to preserve, and it means, of all things, tell your neighbor, you need to listen right here. Yeah. Of all things, it means shepherd. In the ancient days, a shepherd during the day would gather thorn bushes. And at night he would make a corral with these thorn bushes around the sheep to protect them and to keep them safe from predators. So we've got 2 twos. Here's your part. You persist, you persevere, and you press ahead. Actually, some of you had to do that to just get here this morning. Now, here's my part. That's your part. You persist, you persevere, you press ahead. That's your part. Say, keep the faith. Here's my part. Here's what I'm going to do. This is what Deanne's already done. Let me just describe it. I'm going to surround you with the word of faith thorn bushes. I'm going to build a mobile corral around you so that not only are you protected in this house, you are protected everywhere you go. You'll be protected from faith thieves that are ready to pick you off. Shout, keep the faith. I tell you, that's the best stuff I ever heard. faith is the beginning of all great achievements. Tell your neighbor, you haven't seen anything yet. Let me tell you about a guy named Thomas Edison. He would have given up, say, keep the faith. He would have given up, listen, over 10,000 times he failed. In trying, over 10,000 times, he failed in trying to get an electric energy into a bulb. And if he would have quit on about that 9,999th time, he wouldn't have been the one who was credited with inventing the light bulb. But here's what Edison said, and I quote, let me just get on up here. Here's what he said. Here's what he said. I tell you, when I read that, I moved to another plane. Here's what Thomas Edison said after 10,000 failures, and then whoop, there it was. He said, it happened because I believed and I had faith it would be. Oh, yeah. So faith has no limitations. Faith knows no fear, and faith knows nothing is impossible. So Deanne went to Mark chapter 11. We're reading the New Testament out loud, so it's taking a little while. So I made it to Mark chapter 5. She made it, apparently, to Mark chapter 11. Let me just read it to you. Shout faith. Faith. Shout keep the faith. Keep the faith. Say this, Sandy is going to build a faith thorn bush around me today. All right, so Mark 5 says this. When Jesus crossed the Sea of Galilee, many people gathered to hear him. And Jairus, say Jairus, one of the rulers of the synagogue saw him, fell at his feet and said, my daughter is at the point of death. Would you come and lay your hands on her that she may be healed and live? And Jesus went with him. Don't you just love that about Jesus? And many, the Bible says, many people followed him. And then a certain woman, say certain. Certain means confident. Certain means no doubt. Certain means destined. Certain means sure to happen. This certain woman. Now, Jairus has made his plea to Jesus. Would you come? My daughter is at the point of death. Would you come? And so Jesus said, well, sure, let's go. Let's do the deal. And so while they're on the way, a certain woman which had an issue. And let me just stop there. Of course, it was an issue of blood, but let's just say she. Tell your neighbor, do you have an issue? A certain woman who had an issue for 12 years. Went to every doctor and spent all the money that she had, and she really wasn't any better. And when she heard that Jesus was coming, she pressed. Say, keep the faith. That means you press. You press. You pray because you're after Jesus. She pressed through the crowd, not even to touch him, but to touch. She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment. You remember this story. If I just touch his clothes. Now that's quantum right there. She said, if I touch his clothes, I'll be made whole. Shout, keep the faith. Well, my goodness, she did. And immediately, I like that. Don't you like that, Barbara? I like that immediately. Immediately, she was healed. Now, listen, Jesus suddenly knew that faith had gone out of him, and he turned to his disciples and he said, "Who touched me?" And his disciples said, "Jesus, there's too many people. They're all touching you. So, what do you mean? Who touched me?" Get ready to lay your stick down. He said, "That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody's faith drew faith out of me." And so that woman, knowing what was done, she went to Jesus and she told him what she had done. Here's what he said: "Daughter, your faith." Not my faith, your faith. Mm-hmm. Has made you whole. I'm telling you, I love this stuff. Keep the faith. So all that kind of took up a little bit of time. Now he's on his way. Jairus has got a dead daughter practically. And so that took some time. And while it was going on, then somebody from Jairus' house came and said, "Your daughter's dead. Don't even trouble the master anymore." Now, doesn't that just get you? You're on your way to your miracle. Jesus said he was coming to do this. He's going to raise her up. Something gets in the way. Say, in the way. Takes up so much valuable time that what you're believing God for dies. Jesus heard that. Don't even bother Jesus anymore because your daughter is dead. Here's what Jesus said: "Don't be afraid. Only believe and have faith." Now, I'm just going to add I'm just going to read in between the lines. Okay, I'm just going to read in between the lines. Here's what Jesus was saying. This will be the amplified version. "Jairus, I just allowed you to have a firsthand example of faith for miracles by this woman being on your path, this certain woman being on your path. You need to be confident. You need to be free from doubt. Faith was the absolute proof of her destiny of healing." Jesus was saying to Jairus and those people that came to give him that message, don't miss your moment. So the woman is healed. That's a big deal. Now Jesus is back on his way to Jairus' daughter. That's dead, by the way. And then he realized something. He pared it down. He had a lot of disciples. He pared it down to just 3, Peter, James, and John. This is right out of Mark chapter 5. And they came to the ruler's house. They came to Jairus' house, and everybody was crying. And it was just a big mess. I mean, it was real. They were crying. And Jesus said, "She's not dead." Oh, Lord. Looks dead, smells dead, is dead. Jesus said, "She's not dead. She's asleep." And they laughed him to scorn. he put them out of the house. Another translation says he threw them out. And so he took her parents and he took Peter, James, not, took them, went to the bedroom, took the young girl by the hand and said, "Arise," and she did. And all, of course, were astonished. I want to do some astonishing miracle. Hey, you know what? This made it in the Bible. Astonishing. So, of course, at the first glimpse, it seemed like it was the end of hope. Your daughter is dead. Dead is dead. Dead is the end. Death of a vision. Death of a dream. Death of a hope. Death of our health. Death of family. So, of course, Jairus left home. He left all of that to find Jesus. Tell your neighbor, sometimes you got to get up and go somewhere. Sometimes you just got to get up and go somewhere. So Jairus obviously found Jesus, asked him to come. He did. And in essence, here's what Jesus said. You know what? If your faith mandates that I be there, I will. Do you remember the story where the ruler said, "You know what? My servant is sick, but you don't even have to come there." So wherever our faith is, see, this is why there's no competition. Wherever our faith is, I'm telling you, Jesus will be there. If your faith mandates that I come, God will meet us at the level of our faith. So they moved towards the problem, and about halfway through this ordeal, a woman gets in the way. Okay, all the men just look straight ahead. Jesus, I thought all the men would lay their things down, but they didn't. Oh, there's one over there. He's thinking about it. But so here's Jesus and Jairus, and they're walking toward healing his daughter, and suddenly Jesus stops and says, "Who touched me?" Again, not who touched me with their flesh. Who touched me with their faith. The Bible says that the reason that she knew she was healed is because she felt something. I tell you what, your feelings are so important. They carry a frequency. The Bible says the reason that she knew she was healed is because she felt something. So let me just make this statement. If you touch him right, you will feel something. Listen, this is the faith thorn bush that I am going to put around you, because you, wherever it is that you go to church, you shouldn't leave there feeling like you have not been to church. You need to leave with a feeling of faith. She felt in her body she was healed. And he was just, or as he was having a conversation with her, actually Jesus was complimenting the woman on her faith. And as that was happening, here comes the bad news. Don't bother Jesus. She's dead. Forget it. Let it go. He didn't make it on time. The funeral plans are underway. Here's Jesus. As soon as he heard that, he ignored it. As soon as he heard that, he ignored it, but he had something to say. Here's what he said. I can go further if you will believe. I can go further according to your faith. Jairus, let's check the time. A little bit ago, you believed. But do you still believe? Do you still believe? Listen, faith has got to go further than what we see and the timing. Here's what Jesus said, fear not, only believe. So Jesus sent everybody home except for 3 people. Tell your neighbor, I'm not getting sent home. I'm not getting sent home. Jesus had to send everybody home but 3 people. I'm not getting sent home. I'm not afraid. I believe. So they get to the house, everybody is crying. She's dead. And Jesus said, no, she's not. She's taking a nap. They laugh him to scorn. And this is the Amplified. Jesus throws them out, except for the 3 and the mom and the dad. There comes a time, you better get your stick out. Because listen, I want to tell you something. It's a heavy burden not to operate in faith. It's a heavy burden, isn't it, to not believe. There comes a time in our faith walk that we must have people with us that will believe in what we're believing God for, without question. It's a burden if you don't, and I'm laying it over that crack. I'm laying it over that dead thing. I'm laying it over that impossibility. I'm laying it over, I don't know what is going to happen. I'm laying it over that. And I'm going to find me some people, it doesn't even take a majority of people, people that will believe in what we're believing God for. Jesus didn't have a majority then, and you don't have to have a majority now. So when you have, this is what I want to build. I want to build an ecclesia. I want to build a hub of people that no matter what walks in the door or what is happening out there in the earth, I got a group of people that will believe against all odds. When you got the right people around you, Deanne, things don't look the same. They just don't. Stand and say this with me. I believe. You better get your thing out. Or you can just lift it up to God and say, I believe. I am certain. My faith has no limitations. My faith is the bridge. My faith does not fear. My faith says nothing is impossible. Now lay that down over that chasm and believe God and shout into God with a voice